First, let's dispel some myths. It has nothing to do with your habits or having the perfect routine or reading the right books. What it mainly comes down to is your identity. Every decision you make, every action you take is you acting in accordance to who you think you are. So before anything changes on the outside, you have to change your self-image. Here's exactly how, but first you need to answer this question. If money, status, and approval didn't exist, who would you actually want to become? Because if you build an identity around something that isn't authentic, you're guaranteed to burn out. Once you have a crystal clear answer to that question, now you need to build your belief system around that identity. I'm the type of person that XYZ, I'm the type of person that's always learning, and I'm the type of person that chooses greatness. And then you need to write it down on paper. There's something about putting pen to paper that makes things actually stick. And then you need to hardwire those beliefs into your self-conscious brain. And there's only two ways to actually do that: repetition and emotion. And what you need to do is repeat it throughout the day and attach real feeling and emotion to it. Because your subconscious doesn't understand words, but what it does understand is emotion and energy. But here's the hardest part that most people miss. All of these law and attraction folks totally and conveniently leave out that you have to act in accordance with those beliefs. Every single day, the law of attraction is a real thing, but so is the law of Goya. Get off your ass. And the last thing is something called XP farming. This is when you compress what would take most people years into a 90-day period. All the failures, all the learning, all the reps, and what you do is you compress that into an intense 90-day period. You're going to fail more than you ever have before in your life, and it's going to get super uncomfortable, but that's the fucking point. In order to build a new identity, you have to get rid of the old one. You have to kill your old identity. Plus, as a bonus, stop blaming your circumstances. Stop blaming your upbringing. Stop blaming the economy. Stop blaming anything that's outside of your control. It's the number one trait of people who will never make it. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to grow a pair of fucking balls, take ownership, build your identity, act in accordance, and farm some fucking XP. And this is all coming from someone who made $50K last month and bought their dream car at 20. Oh, I almost forgot one of the most important pieces. There's a gap between when you start acting like a winner and when you actually become one. And the gap is where most people quit because they have all the work but none of the results. What you need to do is just resist that feeling and trust the fucking process. Because when I first started trying to make money online, I spent a ton of money on courses. I was wholesaling real estate for 9 months. I didn't make a single fucking dollar. I had no results. I was working relentlessly every single fucking day, locking myself in my room. I spent a ton of money on courses and I watched every single YouTube video and I still didn't make any fucking money. And I finally understand why I had to go through that now, because it is so true that you have to give this online money game, you have to give the game 1, 2, 3 years before you see any real fucking results. And so when I say resist that feeling of quitting and trust the fucking process, trust that long-term vision, that's exactly what I mean. I know from experience. So within a year, I went from sitting in the back of a community college classroom making $0, spending a ton of money on courses, to being able to make $50K a month and drive my dream car. So if you're sitting in the back of a community college classroom, or maybe you're 18 thinking about going to college, just to make your parents happy, and you want to go all in on yourself and you can make it work, then DM me. I promise you, I've been in your position before, knowing I can make it work, but not knowing how to. Having my friends and family look at me like I'm fucking insane. And just for context, making money online, anything you choose, it's not going to be easy. What I do now, it's not wholesale real estate, it's something completely different. I work 13, 14, 15 hours every single day. It's not easy, but it is extremely simple. So if you want to go all in on yourself and you can make it work, then DM me. My IG is in my bio, and so is my website. You can watch the video, learn about what I actually do, and we can call whatever you want, or you can just DM me and we can talk about whatever you need. Let me know. Your environment is constantly voting for the old identity. If you're trying to become a completely different person and you live the exact same life, you're fighting an uphill battle. And I'm not necessarily telling you just to cut everyone off, but deliberately choose where your time goes and your energy flows and who you're giving your attention to. Stop waiting to feel like the new version of yourself. To get to the point where I'm at today, I had to completely change my identity. And it started off slow. I was addicted to playing video games. I was still hanging around my old friends and I didn't realize it, but to get to where I wanted to go, I had to sacrifice every single thing. Hanging out with my friends, spending time with my family, eating junk food. I had to start waking up early, hitting the gym early, whatever I needed to get done early in that day. I had to start early. But all the vices, everything that wasn't getting me closer to that income goal, to that, gym goal, whatever it was, I had to completely get rid of it. I think a big thing is if I realized that sooner, I'd be a lot further than where I am today. Stop waiting to feel like the new version of yourself. People think once I'm confident, I'll start posting. Once I'm ready, I'll start that business. And, when the time comes, I'll post that video. You don't become confident and then take action. You become confident after repeatedly taking a ton of action and having evidence. That's when you become confident. Identity follows evidence. So when I told my mom that I was dropping out of college to go all in on a business model that I had no results in, that's exactly what I mean. Through my prior actions, day in and day out, working 12 hours a day, trying to wholesale real estate, I knew I was going to make it work. And then putting my back against the wall was the best thing I could ever do for myself. Build an undeniable stack of evidence. Every day you should give your brain evidence that this new identity is real. If you tell yourself, I'm the person that's going to do exactly what I say I'm going to do. And then every time you keep a promise to yourself, that's one vote for the new you. But, you break a promise, that's one vote for the old you. You don't need some crazy transformation day one. What you need is a ton of evidence to the point where your brain goes, oh shit, maybe this is actually who we are now. And that's exactly what gave me the confidence to drop out and go all in on myself, because I knew it was going to work through my past actions. Speed matters more than perfection. For example, someone spends the next 3 months, making sure everything's perfect to start their business, whatever, it goes mid. And then there's someone who takes messy action. They make 100 cold calls, run ads, whatever it is, and they fail immediately, but then they adapt even quicker. And then all it comes down to is just like who learned more in 90 days. Obviously the person that took messy action is going to learn more. They failed a ton of times and they adapted and, made it work. Your goal for these next 90 days shouldn't be avoiding making mistakes. You should be focusing on how to make as many fucking mistakes as possible so the next time they aren't beginner mistakes. Bro, the whole method to making money online is literally just failing over and over and over again until something finally works. I went into so many different business models. I dropshipped, crypto, reselling, TikTok shop, marketing agency, literally everything, bro. I failed and I half-assed, and then I realized I had to sacrifice everything to get to where I wanted to go, and then it finally clicked for me. You need to deliberately increase your rejection rate. If you've never been rejected, you're probably a pussy and you're probably playing it way too safe. Rejection is literally proof that you're putting yourself in situations capable of changing your life. You need to be tracking everything. You need a scoreboard. Don't let yourself judge your progress emotionally, because on day 37, it might feel like you made no progress, but in reality, whatever, you made 2,000 cold calls, got rejected a ton, maybe set some appointments. This is just an example. You worked 12, 13 hours every day for a month straight, and you felt like you made no progress, but actually you got better at the skill. That's why you need to track your reps, because it's so extremely easy to get so emotional on not seeing results, but emotions can make you feel crazy, but numbers don't lie. And once everything finally clicks for you, you're going to be like, damn, that all happened for a reason. The boredom phase is where transformation actually happens. Obviously, when you start something new, you're going to be extremely motivated, working 12, 13 hours a day with the correct inputs, waking up on time, hitting all your metrics. But then month 1 comes, month 2, whatever it is, and you've seen no results, and there's no motivational music anymore, and you're just stuck in the same place, and you feel like you're failing, and you're nowhere close to where you want to be. That's exactly where the challenge begins. It's so fucking easy to stay motivated for the first week when you try to start a new business or whatever it is. But where most people fail is in that disconnect where, wow, I have to do this for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3 years even. 3 years of doing the same things over and over and over again. And I said this earlier, you really do owe the game 1, 2, 3 years before you get any real results. And that's exactly where that disconnect happens and people start quitting, is when they realize, wow, I've been doing this for 3, 4, 5, 6 months and I'm still in the same place. But what they don't realize is that they have to continue doing it to get to the point where they want to get. And I literally know from experience, because when I was at the community college, I was trying my best to make wholesale real estate work, and I was trying my best to make money. I would sit at my desk anytime I wasn't doing school. I would sit at my desk and grind this shit. And if you want to go all in on yourself and you can make it work, then DM me, okay? I promise you, I'm not trying to sell you a course. I don't want your money. This is completely free what I do. It's not easy at all. I can't promise you that it's going to be easy, but I can show you how to make 10, 20, 30K a month for completely free. Anyone you see online, anyone that flashes their, expensive lifestyle or whatever it is, you're not seeing the 2 to 3 years behind that screen, behind, in between those highlights of what it took to get there. And mostly everyone just sees like the wins, but anyone who has a significant amount of success had to go through some crazy shit to get there. I promise I know what you're going through. I promise I've been in your situation before. You can make it work. You want to go all in on yourself. You just don't know how. And if you have problems in your life, I promise you, there is more successful people than me and you, whatever, that have gone through harder shit than me and you, and that still make it work. So if you're coachable, ambitious, you want to make it work, you know it's not going to be easy, then DM me, okay? My IG is in my bio, my name, and then also my website. You can learn more about what I do on there, and then we can talk. You know, whatever you need, just hit me up. Your old life is constantly going to try to negotiate with you. Bro, I promise you I've been there, like falling back into those old habits, like, you know, tempting just to lay in my bed and doom scroll all day. Like I've been there. And when you go and try and work your ass off and try and lock in for 90 days and completely change your life, like that's going to happen, bro. Like you're going to try, like you're going to get tricked into falling back into those old habits. And it's so important that you stay in rhythm with your goals. Your dream life is probably going to require you to disappoint the current version of the people around you. Not by treating them badly, but to disappear, to go work, to go hit your goals. You're going to look delusional in front of them. It's not going to make sense to them. You're taking a risk that they probably have never even thought about taking in their life. They've lived this comfortable life their entire life, and they don't have any real grasp on what a real risk looks like. And throughout these 90 days, you're going to go through this insane phase. It's called the nothing happens phase. Day 1, insane motivation. Day 14, working hard. Day 30, why isn't anything happening? Day 45, doubt. Day 60, temptation to switch plans. Day 75, most people quit around this area. And day 90, you're finally starting to become dangerous. Day 90, you finally start making a little bit of progress. You start finally seeing, whoa, shit, like, holy shit, I'm actually becoming this person that makes 10, 20, 30K a month, You see a slight sliver, and that just makes you so hungry to go even harder. The biggest mistake is constantly restarting the clock. I did it so many times when I started trying to make money online, like through all those different business models. I restarted so many times. I'm glad I went through it because I now know like what it takes to get to where I want to go, but please learn from my mistakes. Like pick one thing and just stay super consistent at it. I promise you it'll work out. Sometimes you're not failing, you're just really fucking early. And listen, I'm not a crazy guru. I don't sell like a course. I'm not asking for any of your money. I was probably in the same position you are, young, wanting to make it work, wanting to go all in on myself. I promise you, if I haven't been in your situation, I've been in a similar situation, okay? I was sitting in the back of a community college classroom. My teacher was probably 78 years old teaching us some bullshit. I was paying a Pakistan man to literally log into my school portals and do my work for me so I could focus on my wholesale real estate business. And while I was working on my wholesale real estate business, I would also grind Fortnite. And I had this false sense of reality that I was working towards this 10, 20, 30K a month, without actually sacrificing everything and putting the work in. Now I'm letting you know right now, if you want to hit your goals, if you want to make 50, 100K a month, I've made 50K in a month. Last month I made 50K. If you want to hit those goals, you have to sacrifice everything. I really don't do much besides work. I go to the gym every day and just work, bro. Like I don't really do much. And I did that for so long and I saw no results. And then one day it just clicked. My income skyrocketed. If you want to go all in on yourself, DM me, okay? DM me. My IG's in my bio. So is my website. There's a video there. You can learn more about what I actually do. I don't sell a course. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Just looking for people who want to make a fuck ton of money because you make money, I make money. And yeah, if you guys need anything, let me know. Peace.